1 year ago this week, I introduced the world to Arthur, an adorable 4-month-old puppy that we adopted 1 year ago this week. That's redundant. The YouTube comments that day range from OMG, Arthur is so handsome to I want him now. Bit weird, that one. But there's one thing that I don't think I adequately conveyed in that announcement video, which was this. Arthur was the first dog to enter my care since I was a child. He was also my first ever puppy. Because of this, I didn't know what I didn't know, and at the time I just figured, how hard can it be? I just need to walk him twice a day, play with him a bit, and make sure that he shits outside. It turns out puppies are a lot more work than I realised. In the 12 months that have elapsed, I've learned a staggering amount about puppy energy, Arthur's likes and dislikes, and innovative new ways to seal off my sock drawer. I've also learned a lot about myself. And so, for subscribers who requested regular Arthur content, here's the latest one. For those of you who have yet to subscribe, do that now. In the meantime, I've lived with a puppy for 1 whole year. Here's what I've found. Something that drew us to Arthur in the first place was that of all the dogs at the shelter, he seemed to bark the least. In fact, it took him 3 whole days after moving in with us to make any sound at all, a moment I captured on video. At the time, he was just 14 pounds, a tad heavier than our cat, whose own part in this story cannot be understated. I personally had just become a US citizen and bought my first American house, so it only felt right to add 87 more chores to my life. And one of those chores or training activities was teaching Arthur which of the toys were his and which were not. Let go. Thank you. Got one of Kafka's toys. What do you think of that, Kafka? But before Arthur accuses me of taking old video clips out of context, there's something you should know about him. At 5 months, he just wanted everybody to be his friend. The amount of times I've told him, Arthur, that's just unrealistic. Some of us want to be your friends, but most of the animal kingdom wants to kill you. Unfazed by this, he was and still is especially rambunctious around other dogs. I'd be lying if I said I didn't find this period challenging. Come to think of it though, so did he. Ah, Arthur, you're all trapped again. Arthur. Arthur, it's okay. You make me laugh. Aside from navigating the never-ending needs of our first property, my wife and I spent countless hours searching variations on the phrase, what does it mean if your dog X, Y, and Z? And X, Y, and Z could be anything from eats a tangerine peel to never sleeps. In fact, it's not hyperbole to say that during his first 2 or 3 months, he never even closed his eyes. And because he had so much energy, he followed me constantly, making sure to acquaint his teeth with my ankles and occasionally my hands. Trying to bite the hand that feeds you, literally. On the other hand, I came to realize that few things are better than seeing a puppy discover things for the first time. For example, that his dad is a complete weirdo. My puppy thinks I'm a cat. Or that frisbees are the greatest thing in the history of Earth's history. Drop. 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 Or that soap suds exist. Okay, we're about to take our new puppy through his first ever car wash. This is his reaction. So curious. Oh. And at this point you might be thinking, Lawrence, if dogs bring you so much joy, why did you wait so long to get one? 2 reasons really. Number 1, I'm really lazy, and B, 2. Trauma. Max, this is not a comedy bit, you can tell because my glasses are off. Which brings me on to BetterHelp, who I'd like to thank for sponsoring today's video. The truth is, as a child, I was traumatized by the sudden death of our family dog, who I found in a river when I was 9. I was completely overwhelmed by the feeling of finality, the notion that he had breathed his last breath and devoured his final newspaper. And people might think, Lawrence, it's not like you lost a brother or something, but actually, it was a lot like that. It was my first experience of profound loss. This lovely Jack Russell, who'd been there my entire life, was gone, and with him, a huge degree of innocence. And so, until I acknowledged it as trauma a year ago, I spent my entire life refusing to get one. A dog, not a life. But when my dad died at the start of 2023, I came to examine healthier ways of grieving. And I probably could have done this much sooner if I'd spoken to a therapist through BetterHelp. BetterHelp gives you access to therapy sessions over the phone, by video chat, or through messaging. They can connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/lostinthepond or choose Lost in the Pond during sign-up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. The link is in my description below. Sometimes singular events have the power to transform how we see the world. The sudden loss of my childhood dog was indeed traumatic, but it made me more empathetic to the welfare of animals, except raccoons. That's why I felt so guilty at first, wondering if we'd made a mistake, if all of this was just too much. But as spring faded from view, so did some of Arthur's wild antics. For example, he learned that it was in fact more beneficial to let me have the frisbee. Drop. Good doggy. Go get that frisbee. Good doggy. Fetch. Oh. And if he didn't quite understand the game at first, he'd get there eventually. Almost. Good doggy. Fetch. Good doggy. Ow. And by the middle of summer, he had formed an addiction shared by millions of humans worldwide. But even though he was now beyond the teething stage, he was still sinking his teeth into things he shouldn't. What you got there, mate? Oh, what do you know? It's a toy. Who's gonna win, buddy? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? I won. Get the toy, bud. There you go. Good doggy. Good doggy. In fact, it was during this time that he decided one of our cushions needed de-stuffing. And his bed. And my niece's teddy bear. I'm kidding, the teddy bear's fine. But mostly, he just loved being outside, where he was introduced to a sound familiar to most Americans. And 4th of July food. A hot dog. Eating a hot dog. And somewhere to bury his frisbee. But despite one or two lingering transgressions, Arthur was quickly becoming the centre of my world. The question is, how did he feel about his place in it? Hey Arthur, I think all of your fans would like to know how you've been enjoying Earth these last 10 months. And he took this time to go to the toilet. On the Earth. Our environmental disagreements aside, his behaviour was fast improving. This owed virtually nothing to our training and almost everything to treats. Twist. Sit. Shake. Good doggy. Lay. What a good fella. But at 10 months, it seemed like for every 2 steps forward, there was always 1 step back. Everybody welcome Arthur. Mr. Arthur. What have you been doing to the rug? Between you and me, I didn't care for that doormat anyway. And something else upon which Arthur and I secretly agree is that the holiday season is a very confusing time. Halloween showed him that there are bad witches. Oh, why are you pulling away, sir? What's going on? What is it? Is it Halloween witches? And failed ones. Down so that we can all see the doggy who's nibbling at me. Look at that. And he made quite clear his feelings on having to share a birth month with me, his human overlord. By the end of the holidays, Arthur was so zonked he'd either forgotten where his bed was, or he believed himself to be his gift to us. And the Quincy Gazette reported this morning that, quote, either way, he's right. 15 years ago, at the start of 2024, I witnessed something in Arthur that was completely new. As if committing to a New Year's resolution, he was finally beginning to sleep an appropriate number of hours for a puppy. This meant that not only did Arthur get some rest, but so did his mum, dad, and whatever our cat's name is. In addition to daily walks and playtime, Arthur now expends energy by taking the stairs several times a day. This especially happens when a human is already going up them, like world-renowned camera operator Lawrence Brown. He also follows the humans to every corner of the house, except the basement. It's possible that he's just experienced 1 tornado warning too many, such as life in the American Midwest. However, in a heartbreaking kind of way, this is a good thing, because that's where most of the cat stuff is. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, Lawrence, if the cat doesn't like him, does Arthur actually have any non-human friends? Yes, apart from his budding relationship with the sun, he gets on especially well with Cora, our friend Roseanne's puppy, who he met this year. Their bond is perhaps aided by the fact that Cora and Arthur bear certain physical similarities and happen to be very close in age. Then again, he does not have these things in common with humans. And yet, his excitement for being in our presence knows no bounds. In a moment, I'll be taking out the trash, and when I do, Arthur will follow me to the garage, watch me go in, and then go to the gate to watch me come out. How do I know this? Because he's done that every single time since day 1. going. To a child, a single year can feel like a lifetime. To an adult, the same is true, except it's the lifetime of a mayfly. The biggest thing that I've learned living with a puppy is that, true to the cliche, they really do grow up so bloody fast. Have you got the zoomies, bud? Have you got the zoomies? Last March he could barely go 5 minutes without biting my ankles. Today, he much prefers to lick them. And so I sodding well intend to cherish every single day with the little bugger while he's here. Hey look, it's your old Frisbee. Bit destroyed now, just like everything else that you've ever owned. And Arthur, who is particularly into my animal content, will continue to appear in Lost in the Pond videos. In fact, see if you can spot him in this video. My breakdown on an animal that is unique to North America, the coyote. Until the next video, goodbye.